just in terms of the two scriptures as texts, I mean, the genre is profoundly different. As you note, the Quran is presented as divine speech, not as a narrative about Muhammad, unlike the Gospels. But both the Bible and Quran do have something in common, which is the way they engage with earlier religious traditions. So they're both sort of intent on making claims in regard to these earlier religious traditions. So, Dr. Ehrman, what would you say about the question of the New Testament in Judaism? Again, in broad terms, I'm sure in the course you'll go into more detail. I mean, is it even proper to speak of the New Testament as a Christian text? Or do you see the earliest sort of Jesus movement really as a movement within Judaism?
So there are a lot of scholars today who are reluctant to call first century followers of Jesus Christians.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to admit that I'm kind of in the minority on this one because my view is it depends how you define Christian. And people often say, well, look, they aren't Christian because like Christianity hasn't developed yet. You don't have the creeds yet. You don't have all the doctrines yet. Right. My view is, well, when do you have Christianity then? I mean, what point? Because you never really have, there's never a thing. And so I think that anybody who identifies Christ as the way of salvation could be called a Christian. And I think the authors of the New Testament did that. I think the authors of the New Testament have different views, by and large, often from each other, but also from the historical Jesus. And so I think that that it's problematic even to try and to use generalizations about the New Testament, that it's this or that. With respect to Judaism, there's a huge variety within the New Testament about the relationship that followers of Jesus should have to the Jewish tradition. Mm-hmm. You have someone like the Apostle Paul, who says that a person is made right with God by the death and resurrection of Jesus, and if they are not Jewish, they don't have to keep the Jewish law. Mm-hmm. They're not Jews, they're Gentiles. And others, like Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew seems to think that if you're a follower of Jesus, well, he's the Jewish Messiah, sent from the Jewish God to fulfill Jewish scripture. I mean, it's a Jewish religion. You got to be Jewish. And so there seem to be a variety. In fact, there's a wide variety of views about what to do about the Torah, what to do about the Jewish law, how to keep it, whether to keep it, what its relationship to salvation is. And so I would say there's no consistency in views like this, although I would say that most of the authors of the New Testament, in my judgment, are Gentiles. And they lean more toward kind of away from having to keep the law than others.
Okay, right. Yeah. So